Let's explore the Executive Committee, a very common committee which is a special type of Board Policy Research Committee. Executive committees came about when boards had no staff, and they needed somebody between board meetings to be actively involved in and overseeing operations. Therefore, the Executive Committee was implemented to execute the decisions of the board. As organizations got larger and had more budget and started hiring very competent full-time staff, the pattern of having an executive committee on the board continued. This sometimes causes confusion, and some governance experts suggest probably when there's staff in the organization, there's no need for an executive committee. However, there are some roles that group, the executive committee, can perform effectively. The best role for the executive committee, in my opinion, is to be a support to the board chair for all of the board chair's leadership functions. So the board chair isn't left on their own developing the agenda, determining the background information to have available for the board members, and dealing with issues related to the CEO. However, I do suggest that your board executive committee focuses on helping the board be effective. And it doesn't rehash the issues at executive meetings and not fully engage the board. I'm aware of one situation where the executive committee met twice as long as the board did in any month. And when the board chair would get to a board meeting and see an item on the agenda that the executive committee had talked about for 2 hours last week, she would say, "Oh, we've had lots of discussion on this, so I think it's time for the vote." And meanwhile, the board members were like deer in headlight. They were thinking, we haven't even explored this enough to have any idea what the issue is about. So I encourage you to no longer consider your executive committee an executive committee. It doesn't act on behalf of the board, and it doesn't act on behalf of staff or interfere with staff operations. However, the executive committee can be very helpful to develop strategy for the board to be fully engaged and to be an ongoing support group for the board chair.